So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for day 2 of our Future of Digital Agencies in 2025. I'm very pleased to have with me a great panel with Joy, Jim, and Ron. I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping. So everybody's muted, but I do want this to be as interactive as possible. Today, we're going to be touching on the topics of local search, how AI is transforming that, and then also reputation and some other topics. So please ask questions, please interact. The more questions you ask, the better. We are recording this session. It will all be made available after, and we'll be sending you an email with that information. So quickly, a little bit about me. My name is Melatia. I'm the VP of Marketing here at GatherUp. I've been doing digital marketing since 1997. That ages me quite a bit. I have seen search engines be Alta Vista, Lycos, Excite. Then I've seen Yahoo dominate, and then I saw them crash, and then have Google win over, and now we're looking at what I think is the next era of search. I have done digital marketing for a really long time, and I've led several SaaS companies. I want to tell you a little bit about GatherUp. We are the reputation platform of choice for digital agencies. We're here to help you with a proactive reputation management. It's not just about asking reviews, but it's being on top of your reputation. We redefine what reputation management is. It's about understanding the feedback that you're getting, engaging and marketing that feedback, implementing the changes when needed, and then also continuing that virtuous cycle of having more and fresh reviews, because that matters a lot. We have a lot of research to actually support this with our Beyond the Stars research that we did late last year. And we are trusted by thousands of agencies and businesses. Couple logos here, but you don't need to take my word for it. You can go and read all about us on G2 and Capterra. I am so excited to have with us today Jim McDannald, Joy Hawkins, and Ron Callis. I'd like to give them each a moment to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about them and their agencies, and then we can dive into the discussion. So Jim, do you want to kick this off for us?
Yeah, sure. I'm Jim McDannald, the owner and founder of Podiatry Growth. So I'm a former clinical podiatrist who has always been dabbling in digital technologies. And in 2019, I started a very niche marketing agency to kind of tailor to the needs of private practice podiatrists. So, whether it's building a website or trying to find ways for them to kind of see more of the patients they want in their practice, that's what I really focus on so they can deliver great care to people both in Canada and the US. So I'm based in Montreal, but excited to participate in today's roundtable with these great folks.
Go Montreal. All right, Joy, do you want to tell us about you?
Sure. I'm Joy Hawkins. I'm also Canadian, so in Ontario, but I run a team of individuals both in the US and Canada that work for an SEO agency, and we do local SEO, so specifically working with small businesses like doctors, lawyers, realtors, home services, etc. We also own and operate a forum called the Local Search Forum. We do conferences through our local U brand. So lots of fun stuff going on, and we make a lot of videos that are meant to be really educational about local SEO and Google business profiles on YouTube.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us, Joy. I know you don't really need an introduction, but thank you for joining us. And then Ron, please tell us about you.
Sure. Ron Callis. I'm CEO and founder of One Firefly. Founded the business back in 2007. And today we're the largest marketing agency serving a very specific niche customer, technology contractors. These are the folks that put automation and technology into some of the finest homes in the world and most businesses. And I run a team. We have about 80 people on staff of talented marketers, full service in that we do web design, digital marketing, SEO, paid branding. And we service today about 700 plus day-to-day clients that are regular monthly clients with us. And last 5 years in a row, made the Inc. 5000 here in the US. So we're super proud of that. Now, submissions just started, so maybe it'll be 6 years in a row. We'll see how we stacked up.
Wow. Well, congratulations. That's fantastic. All right, so let's kick off the panel discussion. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that we can focus on the people, because that's what we're here for. So You've all contributed to our digital agency predictions, and I wanted to talk about Search GPT, local search. And my question, I'm going to start with you, Jim, and then Joy, I'd like to have your feedback on that too. In both of your predictions, you talked about how Search GPT, Bard, and the others were poised to really change search behavior. Can you dive on what you expect that behavior change to be? And then how quickly or slowly do you see this happening?
Yeah, happy to jump in there on that. So, obviously right now when people have a problem or they're looking for a provider or a service, the first place that most people are going, or at least the last, 10 or 15 years, is to jump on Google, either on their desktop or on their mobile phone, and just ask, where, what's the podiatrist near me, best podiatrist near me, other types of services like that. And just Google's been such a dominant player that, a lot of people put a lot of their eggs into the Google basket, to the point where a lot of other review sites, other kinds of things haven't been as important, because things like Google Business Profile and just getting that local visibility on Google has been so really important. They've been dominating that sector, that now that Search GPT and ChatGPT comes out and people are starting to ask similar questions in those large language models. So it's still very nascent. It's definitely not as good, I would say, the kind of results you get from that, but you can see them now pulling from different directories. When you search GPT or ChatGPT for these types of services, you're going to get a lot of non-Google properties now. So from an agency owner perspective and from a business perspective, it's like, well, maybe it's time to start diversifying, some of those, it doesn't help to have a 200 review lead anymore. Maybe when it comes to Google reviews, maybe it's time to get onto other review sites and other directories to make sure you're not missing the boat. If, right now, I think it's about 5% of searches are going through these large language models, but if those grow over time, it's something to kind of be very aware of.
What do you think about that, Joy?
Yeah, so in our data, we're not seeing it as a threat yet. And I don't know if it will become one. I think there's a lot of things that need to be figured out to determine that. We've looked at some of our largest clients, so people that got, millions of conversions from their websites last year that are local businesses. And the amount of leads that they got from AI, they did get some. So, it's great, but it's like less than 0.5% of what they're getting from Google, less than 10% of what they're getting from Bing, and nobody cares about Bing. So I have had a lot of clients ask me about it. And we're basically just telling them, listen, like if you're investing, let's say thousands of dollars a month in SEO, you're not going to get an ROI even when we figure out how to optimize for AI. Because I do think you can optimize for AI. We've already seen that with Google's AI overviews. So we've taken over some of those. There are tactics just like any algorithm that you can use to do that. But if it's actually going to be worth it, like, is it going to actually drive traffic and leads that is going to pay for that time and effort spent? My current answer is not yet. I think it has a long way to go. And I think the only way that it's ever going to take over or steal any traffic from Google is if the search results get astronomically better, because they're horrific right now. So don't do local searches on any AI platform at the moment. They're really, really bad in comparison to what Google has.
Fair enough. I mean, the results have to be really powerful for it to work.
Yeah, they're so bad.
Carlos asked a clarifying question. So is it AI overview counting as a CTR? Intent for AI overviews seem to be affecting mostly informational queries at this point. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so definitely we see them more for informational queries. We are starting to see them for like, best blank in city, which is scary because I'm like, they shouldn't be there in my opinion. I think they're not good enough yet. But so far, I would say they are driving traffic, but how much traffic? We're currently trying to test that out. So we have a couple isolated cases where we took over the AI overview and we're trying to see if we can measure an increase in traffic to the website from taking that over. So I don't know yet. Hopefully I'll have that answer in a couple months because we're just starting to work on this. But I can tell you that featured snippets were one of those things that so many marketers went out there and were like, oh, it's the death of, traffic to websites. And if you're in the featured snippet, nobody's going to click on you because the answer's right there. I can say for certain that is false. We take over featured snippets all the time and get a ton of traffic from them. So if AI overviews are like that, then they should drive some traffic. I think the problem is on mobile, the link to click is like almost invisible. On desktop, it's kind of there. It's really, really, really small, but it's on mobile. It's like, so I do think it's going to take a chunk of mobile traffic for sure.
Can I contribute just
Yeah,
a quick
please, of
thought?
course.
I would just say in looking at our clients' data, I mean, starting in the second half of last year, no, maybe even as much as the second half of 23, we started to see a significant impact on organic search performance of all of our clients, the vast majority of our clients across North America. And so organic traffic driven into our clients' websites, these are small service businesses in, that serve local markets. We saw that traffic generally significantly declining. And so ultimately, if we look big picture, I think it doesn't take a lot. You don't have to go too far out on the risk curve to maybe make an assumption or a hypothesis that more and more search queries are going to happen through AI. And although they may stink now, and I agree, they generally do, I don't think they will forever. And so for the businesses out there serving your customers, just learning the best practices to the best of all of our ability, because it's still a bit vague and a bit opaque, but to learn the best practices around how to get our clients to show up in AI search queries. I think it is probably going to continue to advance and become more sophisticated in terms of how that works. And, there are some thought leaders out there that are, speaking about this, guys like Andy Crestodino at Orbit Media and others. And so our team is following these thought leaders and doing the best of our ability to implement these practices into the way that we serve our clients for SEO. But the other things we've done is adjust and become, frankly, much more sophisticated and thorough in our SEO approaches with our clients, in the extent and depth of the work we're doing for their websites to really make them pristine, as well as looking at the overall zero-click presence on page one of search, knowing so much, is it 60% plus of that search query is going, is hitting that zero-click content on page one. So it's much more than organic. We love organic and we're going deeper in organic. We're not backing off, but there's just less of it. And I think if you look at tomorrow, there's probably going to be less of it. At least that's our assumption. And so you now have to master zero-click and you have to master AI. And that's, as agencies, I think that challenge is on us to learn how to do that.
I think piggybacking off that, I think it's really, really important. And I'm sure we're all aware, but just so the audience is aware, like having a Google business profile that builds trust and that really, has as much of your brand on there as possible. Because like you said, with zero-click, sometimes they're not even going to go to your website. Maybe they're going to make some buying decisions or a decision on that Google business profile. So making sure that it has, good photos, there's posts on there that show your involvement in the local community and that you are a reputable provider of the services of the business. So I think that's super important. And also these as it's not great right now, but it's going to evolve, these AI opportunities. And to me, it's going to be interesting because all of these AI companies right now are super venture backed. They have billions of dollars of funding, but at some point in time, they're going to have to find product market fit where they have, they have a free tier and then, you pay $20 for like ChatGPT, but are there going to be basically similar types of advertising, in the results? What's that going to look like? And there's going to be so it's a matter of agencies staying on top of knowing kind of, whether it's thought leaders or reading some blogs, just making sure where the puck is moving to make sure that when these opportunities do come available, maybe you get, you don't want to kind of be left standing when they provide an ad platform or something where you think there could be more value as that experience gets better on these AI channels.
Yeah, I think this time right now in business. I've been in business for whatever the math is, 17 years or something like that, 17, 18 years. This is the most demanding time for us business operators to be on top of advancing our businesses and methods and processes to make sure we're delivering value for our clients. It's the hardest and it's the most exciting because there's so much change happening in the world. For those of us, maybe the attendees attending this webinar, those of us brave enough to do the research to figure out, where's the hockey reference, where's the puck going on the ice and skate towards the puck. advancing processes and methods within the business. For those that do that, we have a wonderful opportunity to really leverage these changes to the benefit of our business and our clients. But for those that don't, and to make a reference to Who Moved My Cheese with Michael Johnson, if you stay there and wait for things to come back to the way they were, those business owners are going to be, I think, really severely harmed in times like this.
Yeah, I agree. Even from my perspective, I'm not working for an agency, right? I work for a SaaS company. Marketing has changed. It's not what it used to be. The formulas that used to work at the playbooks just don't work the same way anymore, and that's fine. Actually, Joy, we have a follow-up question here from Kevin. And so it seems to be like we have maybe a little bit of a disagreement here around like the threat of Search GPT taking over and the need to adapt. So in your threats, like you feel that the usability is a part of it. What else do you feel is like it's just not there yet?
Yeah, so to clarify who it's a threat to, I'm talking to a business owner. Like if you're not listed on Search GPT, you're not tracking there, or not paying attention, for example, is that a threat to you? So I would say Search GPT specifically is not a threat yet. Google's AI overviews are a different story. So I think we're talking about two different things here. Google's AI overviews, I do think, are a threat. Not a huge one yet, but they're becoming more and more of a threat. And like Ron, I can definitely say that we saw traffic declines on lots of clients in the fall too. Same thing, mostly informational queries. So I like to track that trend. Like we would see declines in traffic, but like conversions were the same. So that's good. Like at least they're not losing leads, right? They're just losing traffic. But I'd still say that's a loss, and it's not a good loss. It's not something you want. If you're a business and you have a website, you want people coming to your site. You have a lot more control over remarketing and lots of things, right? If you bring them to your site. So I definitely think that AI overviews are a threat. I just want to make sure I separate the two.
Yeah, fair enough. And I'm with you on that. I think we all agree there. So I'm going to change up the order a little bit here because I've got Matt Kenny stealing my thunder on one of my questions to you, Joy. So I'm going to ask his question instead of the one I wanted to ask you. So he'd love to hear your thoughts on video content and YouTube being the next step in the progression of SEO, especially human-centric talking head videos that feature subject matter experts. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think social media is becoming way bigger than it used to be. So, I mean, my agency, our customers are business owners, and I can say that we have had a massive video push in the last 2 years. Like the amount of money that I have put into video editors and content marketers and things for my agency, it's very high. I've never invested so much in a marketing strategy, but I don't know or haven't figured out yet how it translates to a small business, right? Like I know, hey, like if you're a plumber, maybe you should be on YouTube, but like, are you actually going to get people in your local market area searching on YouTube? And is that how they're going to find you? Maybe, but that's like a tough nut to crack. I feel like a lot of local businesses I've known that are getting into social media, they have other revenue models and other revenue streams. It's not just like the local plumber that needs people going. So I think the one exception to that is Reddit. I do think Reddit does all of it. So if you're a local business and you want a social media channel to kind of explore this year, go in and start becoming active in your community subreddits because they're huge. Like I can't get over how many, there's a bunch for Toronto, but there's so many people in these subreddits and they're so active and they're just like Facebook groups. They're asking a lot like, hey, who should I hire for this? What, of this company do you recommend? Or they're just asking how-to questions that you might be able to answer as the expert in that. So I do think that Reddit is one that is a little easier to wrap your head around if you're a small business looking to kind of expand there.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense to me. So my background is in online communities and forums, and Google has always loved, people curated content, UGC. And so it just makes a ton of sense that now Reddit is the place to go because even Google surfaces Reddit answers, which is interesting.
Yep.
So I know that you, though at Sterling Sky, you've been using YouTube a lot for micro learning. How do you see this changing or moving in this year for you as an agency?
Yes, I don't think YouTube's hit its cap. I mean, when I think about even the next generation, my kids spend way too much time on YouTube. Like I actually have to limit the amount of time they spend on YouTube. So I think YouTube is a force to be reckoned with. No idea what's going to have to happen with TikTok in the upcoming months, but if it does get banned, I think that's just going to make YouTube even more powerful. So we are seeing that for us as an agency, YouTube is becoming a huge driver of leads, So we are getting, people that are contacting us and wanting to hire us. But again, our model is B2B. So if you're B2B, then absolutely YouTube makes sense. If you're B2C, I think it's a little tougher, but it's still an avenue that you can use to grow your branding at a minimum.
That's great. We talked a whole lot, so this is absolutely not a part of the questions, but just before we started this session, we were talking about podcasting and finding your niche, and really interesting discussion here. But I know, Jim, you have a podcast. Ron, you have a podcast. Joy, you've talked about converting content into podcasts. Do we want to talk about podcasting?
Let's do it.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm happy to jump in for sure. I think, for me, like when I'm prospecting for podiatrists, the clinics to basically do their marketing for them, I just want to show, obviously educate, just kind of be a great resource for people first and foremost. I think a podcast or videos like Joy does, just are a great way just to kind of not only, help out these clients, kind of learn about it, but also as a just getting to know. I've seen tons of Joy's videos. I've seen, listened to her on podcasts. Just getting your name out there as a business owner, with it through YouTube or through a podcast, just helps kind of build your own personal brand and be seen as kind of an expert in whatever marketing niche you're going after. So and you almost have kind of, if someone binge listens to your podcast or binge watches your video, they almost kind of some of the clinics I work with, they're almost kind of pre-sold. I am that podiatrist that does marketing, and they see me talking about these things and really trying to help them. It's not, obviously, you're not trying to sell on those things. You're just really trying to give helpful information because 90 to 95% of those people, or maybe even less than that, have an interest in marketing, of doing it themselves at all. So if you can just be helpful and help educate them about what's available and kind of giving them some guidelines about making good choices with, what's happening in the marketing landscape, you'll be surprised about the amount of, kind of inbound leads that will lead to, speaking opportunities, just ways to really be seen as an expert in kind of your niche in the marketing area.
Yeah. Ron, do you want to jump in? I don't want to steal any of your thunder or your secret sauce here.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I can just share. I can maybe start at the why. In 2016, I might get that date wrong, but I think that's right. 2016, Facebook launched live, the ability to go live on Facebook. And I remember as an agency owner needing and feeling compelled to learn what that was so that I could understand it, so that I could apply it to my customers. And so it was at that time that I decided to launch my podcast, Automation Unplugged. And so I launched it in April of 2017. Anyone can go on any platform, look up Automation Unplugged, and you'll find the show. And that's the why. I actually did it just so I could master how to be live. So rather than just purely an audio podcast, we were always video first. And we actually transitioned to also putting it out in an audio format years later, maybe back in 2020 or 2021, something like that. And in my industry, because I'm a niche agency serving a very specific industry, I had a personal need and desire, and that was I was consuming all the media in our industry. And what I found is often the manufacturer's agenda was being accomplished. Manufacturers have the big bucks. They're the ones spending the money on the ads in the magazines. And so a lot of the content, in my opinion, seemed to be focused and geared towards them. But yet, I've been in sales and working with these small businesses for 25, 26 years now. And what I find interesting are the human stories, the people behind the businesses, the people running these businesses. At the end of the day, we're people doing business with people. And I didn't find that story being told anywhere. And so I said, well, if I'm going to go live and if I'm going to go step out of my comfort zone in producing this content, I want to produce a type of content that doesn't exist in my space, that other business owners, if they're listening to this content, would find it valuable. So many business owners, certainly us agency owners, but any of these business owners generally can feel like they're out there alone on an island trying to solve problems by themselves, and maybe they're the only ones encountering it. Where the reality is, when you step up and look above the horizon and you do the research, you realize there's many, many people that have solved those things before or encountering that same pain or situation today, right now. And so that's the purpose behind my show. And we have a niche audience. Anyone's welcome to tune in and listen to it. But the people most likely to find it valuable are people that are going to be in our industry of the custom integration world. And we now, I just will close, now we do a show a week, and we have some different types of format 2 shows a month are interviews with business owners in our industry. Only this year, maybe in the last couple of months, did we go, man, we're an agency. We probably should talk about some marketing stuff. So only now did we actually just start doing a marketing show. So now we actually interview members of our team. So it's a way to highlight and put our team members up on a pedestal and highlight their brilliance. So I interview members of our team. And then we have a third show where, maybe similar to Joy, where we're repurposing other webinar and educational content we produce. So it's just finding another format to deliver that content out there. And it's been super successful, you know, kind of slow and steady as she goes, but well received by our industry.
Well, thanks for sharing. Now, Joy, you mentioned you're basically repurposing a lot of the video content that you're doing, and you're pushing it as a podcast format. So you're using this adage in content marketing of like reuse, repurpose. You said that you weren't really pushing it, but is there anything interesting that has come from just releasing this and pushing this forward?
Yeah, something historically we've been horrific at is we publish so much and then we share it like once. And I'm like, this is the most ridiculous, stupid thing ever. And this is, Ron already mentioned Andy Crestodina. I love that guy. If you don't know who he is, you absolutely should follow him. He is really fantastic, no BS, but this is his model, right? He said he has a newsletter on LinkedIn, and every week when he publishes, it's like one week it's something new. The next week it's like something that they did a while ago, but just assuming your audience has seen and read every single thing that you've ever come out with is pretty naive. So I've been learning that lately, and we're trying to get like more of we've done so many studies, so many things that like we want more eyeballs on. So trying to market and push some of our older content that's still super relevant and that a lot of people don't know is a huge focus for me this year. And there's just so many platforms now. I think that's where it gets overwhelming. So we've got more social media sites than we've ever had before. And it's really hard to narrow down like which ones to focus on. But I would say if you're a marketer, LinkedIn seems to be the one that everybody's on. Pick any other platform, it's like, well, depending on their politics and depending on this and that, they might be on this one or that one, but everyone seems to be on LinkedIn. So that is a really good social media network to meet people on if you're just looking to like find a way to, you know, consume content and stuff.
That's great.
Well, one last point I wanted to bring up is that when you do a video podcast, it's a half an hour long. You know, not only is it going to be it could be a video on YouTube, it could be the podcast on the audio only. Then you can break it down into clips, right? And like Joy was talking about, you know, sometimes I don't know, like me being kind of I don't know, kind of coming from a medical background, maybe I'm just a little bit shy, but sometimes you hear yourself over and over, right? Like, because maybe you published on all these different things, but you know, if you publish something that, you know, resonates really well, you know, again in 3 months or in 6 months, or maybe you get, you know, 10 clips from that 30-minute episode that are really impactful, or maybe it's 3 or 4 clips from that, and you put it on these different channels, you know, just kind of getting and utilizing some tools to help you syndicate that content on a consistent basis can be a great way of just continuing to keep your name out there and getting visibility for the services in front of your audience, because obviously you're providing value and educational content to them that's going to be helpful for their practice or for their business. But that's one thing that I kind of had to learn when I got into marketing, was like, okay, it's okay to put things out, you know, more than once, and kind of and the tools make it very easy to do so. You just kind of got to make sure that there's that value, there's a certain bar of value that I want to make sure that I provide when I'm, you know, putting out those clips or those syndicating to other channels.
You got to become okay really quick with hearing your voice. And for most people, hearing your own voice is quite annoying, myself included, but you just got to get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Ron. Okay, so let's pivot a little bit. Ron, in the predictions, you touched on the fact that agencies really need to retain this growth mindset and become guides in your clients adapting. Like, this is the cool thing about this podcast conversation, is you're actively doing that as a channel. How can these agencies be better partners to their clients with this thought leadership and with this practice?
So I think I'm going to back way up and say that I've been in sales for my whole career, right? Although I'm an engineer by education, my first job was in professional sales as a sales engineer. And yet, you know, I don't want to pick on sales, but I can do it because I am one, is no one likes a salesperson. But they like consultants and they like people that are there ready to engage in a relationship and a consultative interaction where they help you. And so I've always taken that approach with everything I've done professionally, including when we, launched this business many years ago. And the way we go to market is we lead with education. So of all the practices that we are, all the disciplines we practice here at One Firefly, whether it be web design, SEO, paid advertising, branding, we have always led by teaching our customer base at trade shows and through webinars and education, free advice and education on how to do those things themselves. Similar to Andy Crestodino. Andy is one of the best teachers in our industry about AI today. And he teaches and he gives of himself freely. And so Andy and I are very aligned, actually mastermind with Andy. So Andy and I are very aligned in that way, is that we just teach and give of ourselves. And now I have many different team members on my team that are also capable and enjoy teaching, whether in person or through webinars. And so as soon as AI hit me over the head with a sledgehammer in November of 2022, and I went through all of the fear, anxiety, doubt, all of the above, because I have a large team and there's a lot of families and a lot of things that I was very concerned about for myself and for them and for our industry about what AI would do to all of us. And I circled up with my team, my leadership team, and quickly decided, well, we're going to go ahead and take it upon ourselves to bring AI to our industry. We're going to teach them what this is. We're going to teach them how to think about it. We're going to teach them how they can incorporate this into their business. And we did that externally. So we became the people that were being reached out to when any of our industry periodicals wanted us to cover the subject of AI. When anyone at any conference wanted to speak on AI, they now were reaching out to us to do the speaking. And so we did that externally. And what it did ultimately is naturally we were including some of these technologies into our business, but there was no surprise from any of our customers that we were doing that, because we were the ones out there teaching our industry what it is, how it's valuable, what they need to be concerned about, how they need to protect themselves and their intellectual property or their proprietary information. Like, we were leading the charge as the advocates. And we did the same internally. I would just say the idea of a growth mindset, it's one of our core values at One Firefly, is that we want all of our team members, if they're a good fit at One Firefly, it means they're all about personal and professional growth. And so when AI, happened as soon as the first couple of months of 23, we were immediately bringing education from our senior leadership team, our executive management team, making sure they were consuming the articles, the podcasts, the webinars, the conferences. And again, if you remember, there was a bit of hysteria in the world, certainly in agencies, right in that very early time, like, oh my God, do any of our clients need us anymore? Right. So it's just, well, we need to become masters of this subject so that we then can bring all of our team members on board to understand what this is, so that ultimately we can design and engineer how these technologies should be incorporated into our products and processes. And so that's at a high level the approach that we've taken. And as a result, today, I mean, we're not there, but we're well on our way. It's day-to-day dialogue at One Firefly. We recently brought on a leader on our team of product innovation, focused around incorporating AI into products and services, both client-served products and services, but also internal process development. We're also a niche-focused agency, which means we have the best aggregation of data for our industry that exists. And if we further leverage that through machine learning and AI, then we're going to be able to provide even better counsel to our clients in a proprietary way, in a way that's better and worth more than any other agency could offer that customer. So it's just like thinking out of the box about the future. Again, how do we use these technologies and these changes in society to enable us to thrive and enable our clients to thrive? And it's scary and it's unknown, but it's also terribly exciting. And that's kind of the direction we've chosen to take.
Yesterday, one of the key points that came out from Kate Anderson was AI allows your organization to do more at a reasonable rate, right? I think the key challenge for agencies is the work that you do scales with people. So the more you grow your agency, the more people you need to do the work. And so there are costs associated to doing things that can be automated manually. Now, Joy, I'd be curious to know, like, how do you retain this growth mindset over at Sterling Sky? I know you have, a large agency, you have folks in Canada, in the US. How do you go about this?
Yeah, so we spend a lot of time and resources analyzing Google's algorithm. So we have about 100 different single test variables that we do at any given time. So we're like, ooh, what if we change this thing? Does anything happen on Google? Or what if we do this? Does this happen? So we try to do these single variable tests all the time, and we try to figure out things that nobody's talking about. Like if there isn't a study, or if somebody doesn't say that something's a ranking factor, we want to figure out if it is or not. So we're just always doing that. Never stops. We never stop changing our processes, never stop looking for the next thing. And while some people find that exhausting, personally, I would be bored if that wasn't the case. So I like SEO. It's like this ongoing puzzle that you're never done solving. But it's definitely tough when people think about like scaling an agency. You're like, how do you hire a bunch of people and then train them? Like I've had employees tell me, oh yeah, I worked in SEO, and then I learned more in the first week like working there than I've learned in my entire career. And I'm like, yeah, like it's a lot, and it's hard to retain too. So my challenge has always been like, how do you get everybody to retain the insane amount of knowledge that it takes to understand Google's algorithm, because it keeps changing. So you have to keep retraining your brain. But I would say, for agencies or anybody that's trying to learn SEO, if you read a book or you watch a video and you think you're done, like this isn't the industry for you. If you like ongoing puzzles and challenges and that constant need to change, then great, you'll have a lot of fun.
And Jim, so how do you retain this growth mindset for yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's kind of like when I got into marketing in the late 20 teens, it was kind of drinking from a fire hose, like how do you, I always build websites, always done kind of digital stuff, but like, how do I really get into the weeds and learn about on-page SEO and all these things? So, but it's like Joy and said, it's just that it's just, it's really a growth mindset. Kind of keeping up to date with podcasts and thought leaders and where marketing is going, to make sure that you can deliver the best possible results for the clients you work with. I think also one of the things I struggle with is that, it's changing so much that, and I know that I'm going to have to talk to I would say less than like technically proficient podiatry or doctor clients. So it's like the fact that I have to kind of process it in my own mind and then kind of break it down into simple ways of describing it to my customers and to my clients it's actually a really helpful exercise. And it's not something that I want to just throw into a ChatGPT or something and make this simple for me. The process of learning it and then be able to then translate it to my clients and show them why these different opportunities are beneficial is something that's great. And it's not too dissimilar in that way from medicine. If you learn a surgery or you learn how to treat something, well, look back, in 5 or 10 years, there's going to be a new way, a different way of doing things. So it is this kind of process of, when you're trying to grow as an agency and grow as a leader in your agency, it's a matter of just building relationships, not only getting that information, but also like Ron said, getting into a mastermind with other people that are dealing with similar problems. So you're not just kind of in your own silo, because something that worked a month ago may not be working in the future. And if you can have kind of some trusted individuals that you just have ongoing conversations with, maybe a monthly meetup, it can really kind of, break you out of a rut. So as much as it is about you learning and doing things, kind of being a good steward and a good member of the SEO or digital marketing community can really build dividends for your professional career.
Absolutely. So Joy, I saw a lot of content coming out of Sterling Sky and you around reputation. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Last year, at the end of the year, we released the largest survey on, it was 1,200 plus Americans that answered questions and attitudes around reputation. Like, do they consume reviews? How often do they look at reviews before they do purchases? How it influences how they do their selection process. I'd love to know from your perspective, is reputation still important in 2025? And what's poised to change in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. So I wouldn't say that reviews have any less importance than they did years ago. It's still the number one thing that I think every business owner should spend time investing into a strategy to get their business more reviews. Like that has to be a strategy. It's so much of a ranking factor. It's so much of a conversion factor of why you pick this business over that. I've heard of agencies that won't even work with businesses unless they agree to really aggressive tactics to get more reviews, because they're like, we can't get your ads to perform, we can't get your listing to perform without these. So huge influence. I think the problem that has yet to really be solved is the problem of fake reviews, and that's a growing concern. Hasn't gotten any better over the years. I think it's a mixture of like fake negative reviews, right? Well, this isn't my customer, this is a competitor, that kind of thing. Or, hey, my competitor's buying reviews, or these are fake, these aren't real customers. I hear those concerns all the time from small business owners. I do think that Google finally has a mechanism sort of that could deal with it, that they launched last year. So they have like this new warning label that they have on Google listings now in the UK. And it'll actually tell you if a business has been caught incentivizing or buying reviews, which is cool. I was like, hey, you know what? They're kind of taking a Yelp stance almost, but that's great. I think that would be really scary and maybe deter some businesses away from buying reviews, but I've yet to see it on any profiles. Like I saw it on one. So it's not widely used yet. It's not in the US yet. So I think if Google starts to go in that direction, I understand the legal issues. They're probably going to have a lot of headaches if they do this. It's probably why they haven't done it yet. But it is one thing that I think is scary enough that might deter people away from buying reviews, because it's a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, buying reviews is a problem because it's not real. And the reason why people rely on reviews is because they want to have real people giving real opinions about why they should engage with this business or choose that business to begin with. So you said something really interesting, Joy, around some folks won't even engage with a customer if the customer is not willing to embark in reputation management. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I know, Jim, podiatry, I don't know if it's super competitive, but reputation highly likely matters there. And the same from you, Ron. Like, tell us, is that like a making or breaking point for a customer of yours? Do you treat it like conversion rate?
Who do you want to go first?
You know what, Ron, go for it.
My customer, particularly on the residential side, is a local business serving a local market, usually a 10 or 20 mile radius around their warehouse or their office. And most of their work comes through referral, meaning they've been referred, they did a good job, they tell their neighbor, family member, and that family member or neighbor goes on this thing called the internet, and they type in that business name, or they conduct some type of search. And what they will often, if not always, run across are reviews. And so we as an agency have known this about our customer. And we've also known for many years that our customer generally is very poor at going out and soliciting reviews on their own volition. They know it. It's like, I know I need to take that medicine, but I don't want it to take it, so I'm not going to take it. And so we've taken a stance, all the way back to 2018 and partnering with GatherUp and putting a solution out to our industry. We rebranded it. We gave it our own name. And we made it more than just the software. We made it software plus our training and support, where we go out, we teach the business owner why this matters. We then agree to bring their staff into a virtual call. We get it loaded on everyone's phone. We then teach them through a role play scenario how to interact with the customer. We work with the business owner on how to acknowledge and incentivize team members to participate in review gathering. And all of that happens because the business owner, through our dialogue and coaching with them, they understand that it matters to their business. It makes sense. It's not a hard stretch. The two examples I'll say is, if you go buy something on Amazon, do you look at the reviews of the product? Yes. And then I'll say, all right, here's another scenario. By the way, everyone's welcome to steal this. And I'll say, it's Friday night, you're going to take your family to dinner, and you're driving down the road and you were told to go to a restaurant, you go to the restaurant 7 o'clock Friday night and the parking lot's empty, and you look in and the restaurant's empty. Do you go to that restaurant, or do you drive a little bit more down the street to the other restaurant you heard about, and that parking lot is packed and that restaurant is packed? which restaurant are you going to go to? You're going to go to the restaurant where there is social trust. People have proven that that's a restaurant you should be at. And when I walk the business owners that we serve through that, they go, that makes a lot of sense. Let's go. And so we then take them on this journey, but it is not set it and forget it. It is an ongoing journey of reminding them, training them, supporting them. And that's where we're adding our value. That's why I can mark the service up and charge the fee that we do, is because it's not only the piece of software. The piece of software by itself, in my opinion, would sit on the shelf. But the piece of software with our sales support and product support ultimately means that we're better prepared to serve that business so they can help themselves. And when we do that and we have a good relationship, meaning we're leaned in and the customer's leaned in, they grow their online review profile, their business grows. And today, more than ever, with we do generally focus on Google, although if they have a strong profile, we might look at other review environments to drive reviews to. We find that with focus and attention, they're able to grow their review profile. And again, what I was saying with Google Business Profile and the emphasis on the role that's playing in zero-click search results on page one, like it's as important, if not much more important today in 2025 than it was in 2018 when we started talking about this at One Firefly.
Okay, thank you for that, Ron. I mean, I agree with you. I think that reputation management is not a set it and forget it. And on the fake reviews side, right, I think in our research, it shows that if you take the time to answer these fake reviews, if it's on your own profile, and just say, hey, I'm so sorry, we don't recognize you, but we would love to help you, right? That kind of helps diffuse and helps plays into people's skepticism of saying, you know what? It's not a real person's name. It's not a real picture. This is really dubious. It's too simple. And they've taken the time to answer. So it's kind of a way to diffuse that bad rating. And folks have shown in our research that what they do is they look at the most recent review, then they look at their most critical review, and then the most positive review, and then they make a decision. And in general, they look at about 3+ reviews before making their minds. So that's, I mean,
I think it's industry specific though.
Yeah.
Like in my industry, my customers, the peer group that they're competing against in their local markets, the issue with that customer type is generally not fake reviews. It's no reviews.
No reviews, yeah.
But there are, I'll just leave it at this. We were trapped by a fake review scenario just this week. We had solicited a mobile pet groomer to come to our house. The Google profile had pictures of beautifully marked vans, logo shirted people, beautiful, pristine vans, 1,000 5-star reviews, not one negative review. I was like, this is too good to be true. They showed up to our house, unmarked vehicle. The person showed up to our house, did not speak any English, no branded clothing, and we canceled it right away. And then we went online and left a 1-star review for false advertising. So it's very real, but I think it's industry specific. Like I've never seen that happen with my customers.
Fair enough. And Jim, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, reputation is paramount in medicine, right? Like if someone has negative reviews, I would say even like not even just negative reviews, but if there's no reply to a negative review, that just speaks volumes about this doctor doesn't even care, right? Like it's one thing to have a negative review, but it's like there's no response whatsoever. And it can be a little tricky for clinics because in the US we have HIPAA, right? You can't like kind of have a flame war about the patient didn't do what I told them to do. And, it can get very tricky. So sometimes I would say, and that's part of what Ron was talking about. When I work with clients and we work at Podiatry Growth, we're kind of manning those reviews and the replies to make sure they are HIPAA compliant and that we're, addressing the concerns and giving the person that wrote the review, whether it's a fake or not, showing that. Because I think what's going to happen is that a lot of times, I think people realize that there's going to be negative reviews and they're okay with that. But if there's no reply or there's a very terse, I've seen some doctors' offices like leave almost just like they're just starting a battle in the comments and you're like, what are you doing? You're just destroying, it was bad enough to get a negative review. Now you're just kind of like going back and forth, almost fighting in the comments. So it's one of those things where you just have to make sure that it's an appropriate response that addresses the concerns and gives them a way to, basically contact the clinic, even if it's not necessarily performative, because obviously sometimes you can kind of de-escalate some of those issues, but it is to show that next patient or the next person that's going to come to your Google Business Profile, like, okay, like this negative review happened, they're a reasonable clinic, I'm still going to go there. It's almost getting over that. When it comes to soliciting reviews, also, obviously I coming from a medical background, what's the right way of doing that, right? Not putting the patient on the spot and making them feel pressured in a way. And that's why I think, utilizing software like GatherUp is beneficial in a lot of ways, especially with text messages or emails, within a half a day or a few hours after the appointment, instead of just handing somebody an iPad, in the clinic, where that, hey, will you do a review here in the clinic for us, can kind of still teaching the clinic and the staff to do that is something that's kind of based, something that I do, writing scripts and helping them feel comfortable about soliciting those reviews. Because if someone has great care, they're going to want to share it with their local community. This kind of digital word of mouth that reviews provide is a huge opportunity for businesses. And I think that's something, especially for clinics, you want to get. You just have to make sure that the staff and the doctors feel comfortable doing that. And I'll wind up just saying too that, like, I'm a big believer. While automation I think can be great in a lot of ways, if you want to get really great reviews, the way you script the ask by either an assistant or by the doctor or by the front office staff, saying, we understood you had this course of treatment, that you had a great experience. Would you mind sharing that experience with the other folks in the community by giving us a review? And you kind of tell them about that. But if you get those kind of keyword rich reviews, instead of like, I'll take one paragraph with a lot of keywords in it over, with a 4-star over 100 5 stars with no review, no comments whatsoever. So getting those keyword rich replies is super important. I think you can get more of those when you have a human ask, and it's not just an automated email that was sent without their permission necessarily.
Yeah, great insights. Okay, so Ron has an appointment to run to. We have 2 minutes left to answer questions. I have a question here from Sophie. So this goes back to the podcasting and video content. She said, any of you interested in creating synthetic human content podcasts for your clients, basically using fake humans? Anybody have thoughts on that?
Yeah, no interest.
No.
No interest. That seems very inauthentic. You want to have a human talking to other humans. You want to see some kind of interaction, some expertise of that business owner or clinic owner. Or if you're doing the podcast yourself, you want to put yourself in the position to like be seen as that expert and as that person that has knowledge. And by doing something, I think that's AI or something just a step too far, because it's just going to be something that it seems like it would be interesting, but at the same time, I don't see that going anywhere, really getting much true engagement.
It's probably in our future. It's probably going to happen. And we're probably all aging ourselves by saying, no way, Jose. But yeah, I don't think we'll be the one to lead that charge.
Joy, any reactions to that?
No, I mean, definitely not. I think it's completely counter to everything that works well on social media. And I think social media is a lot like reviews. The owner of the business or the person that runs the business has to have full buy-in, because it's going to require a lot of dedication and time on their part, right? So I always tell people, like, YouTube is not a quick strategy. Don't get in on it unless you're willing to invest a ton of time and effort, and it will most likely need the leaders of the company, not necessarily the brand new employees that you just hired yesterday.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for the three of you. So insightful. I've learned a ton of stuff today. I have a lot of action items from this. Joy, Jim, Ron, any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
I would just add that helping your clients learn the importance of growing their online review profile, it's really good for your business, and it's one of the lower cost, higher impact marketing strategies small business can practice. And so I'm big into value delivery. Like, value is what do you get divided by what do you spend? And so they're getting a lot out of that that's going to make a positive impact on their business for years to come. And they need to spend very little money to do that. And so it it presents you, assuming people listening are agency owners, it presents you up on a pedestal of someone really genuinely trying to help your customer versus trying to sell them a bill of goods. So I love the topic, and I love the conversations I have with clients, because often they're able to listen and learn and ultimately gain some insight that helps them.
Thank you, Ron. What about you, Jim?
No, I think this is great conversation. I definitely I learned a lot from both of these co-hosts here on the show today, and looking forward to implementing some of those things moving forward. But it is, at the end of the day, it's, how can you provide value to that client, right? And different tools like GatherUp, and different AI tools that are out there allow you to provide really great work. So I'm very happy to work with the client base that I do, because it while I'm no longer in the clinic, I have the opportunity to make an impact on the clinic's productivity and their ability to get in front of patients, and then hopefully change the lives of patients and provide some great care. So yeah, it's that's what I love about this industry, and I love about what I get to do each day.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Joy?
I mean, I don't know what else to add other than, I guess, if you want, like, I'll leave everybody with the last tip. If you want more reviews, one of the best ways to do it is to actually incentivize your employees to get them, not customers, just to be clear. So, running bonuses, running, I don't know, just things to make your employees care more about getting reviews. In like a lot of businesses I've seen do this, they ask people to like mention the staff by name in the review, and then they use that to kind of pay out like bonuses and things to their staff. So I've seen a lot of small businesses adapt and do that, and it's very effective.
I would agree with Joy. I've actually only seen it successful when that's done.
Yeah,
So,
that's fair. Yep.
Make people care inside the business for the reviews. That's
Yeah. I had a real estate agent that gave everybody $1,000 for every 10 reviews they got. I was like, dang.
wow.
wow, that's big dollars. Whoa.
Right? Yeah, they definitely put it out there. So
I usually find $20 like makes an impact, but
yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. It's all the time that we have today. Joy, Jim, Ron, thank you for your time, your wisdom, the information that you've shared. Thanks everybody for attending. This will be made available after, and I hope to see you soon. Take care. Have a wonderful day.